Imagine reaching into an old jar of loose change and pulling out a single penny that could be worth more than a luxury car, a college education, or even your entire mortgage. Yes, one tiny 1980 Lincoln cent, with no mint mark, has shocked collectors with prices rumored as high as $999,000 for the rarest and most extraordinary examples. And here's the part that should make your heart jump. Most people have no idea what this coin even looks like, and they spend it without ever knowing they just threw away life-changing money. That fear, that moment of, what if I already spent mine? That's exactly why you need to hear this story today. Because the 1980 no mint mark penny isn't just a coin. For some people, it's been a golden ticket to financial freedom. But here's where it gets even more interesting. This legendary penny hides in plain sight, and almost every household in America still has a chance of finding one. Not long ago, a man named Daniel, just an average guy with a coffee tin full of old coins, decided to look through his change after hearing a rumor about a valuable penny from the 1980s. He wasn't a collector. He wasn't an investor. He simply wanted to know whether anything inside that old tin could help him pay down debt and breathe a little easier. He dumped the coins onto his kitchen table. Most were nothing special. But there was one moment, the moment that changed everything, when he picked up a dull, brown penny dated 1980 and realized something was missing. No mint mark at all. At first, he thought it was a mistake. Or maybe he was imagining things. But that tiny detail sent him down a rabbit hole that ended with one of the most shocking discoveries of his life. Now, before we reveal what happened to Daniel, we need to understand why this penny is so mysterious. What most people don't know is that the 1980 Lincoln cent was supposed to be struck with mint marks, D for Denver, S for proofs. But a small number of coins, through highly unusual circumstances, left the mint with no mint mark at all. Some were the result of worn dies, transitional changes, or striking anomalies. A few even show unique errors or die varieties that elevate their value into the stratosphere. But this is the part that shocks collectors. Condition, rarity, and errors can transform a coin that looks ordinary into one worth hundreds, thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Let's break down what actually makes these 1980 no mint mark pennies valuable. First, the missing mint mark. A genuine no mint mark coin from this year is extremely unusual. Most 1980 pennies came from Denver, and the mint mark should be there. When it's missing due to a variety or striking anomaly, collectors pay attention. Second, the strength of the strike. If the coin is crisp, well-centered, and shows sharp detail in Lincoln's hair, jacket, and the memorial building on the reverse, the value can jump significantly. Third, errors and varieties. These can include doubling, misstrikes, off-center strikes, die cracks, or transitional oddities. When a 1980 no mint mark penny combines rarity with an eye-catching error, collectors start competing fiercely for it. Fourth, condition and grading. A circulated example might sell for modest amounts, $20, $50, maybe a couple $100. But high-grade coins certified by major grading companies like PCGS or NGC, especially those displaying unusual traits, can soar into the tens of thousands. And in the rarest cases, the ones with exceptional errors, immaculate surfaces, or unexpected die varieties, prices have reached staggering levels, with elite examples valued as high as $999,000 in top-tier collector speculation and private market whisper networks. But here's where the mystery deepens. Even experts admit we still don't know how many of these coins exist. Every few years, a new example surfaces, sometimes from an attic, sometimes from a coin jar, sometimes from someone who had no idea what they were holding for decades, which brings us back to Daniel. After discovering his 1980 penny had no mint mark, he sent it in to be graded. Weeks later, he opened the envelope with shaking hands. His coin wasn't just rare, it was a high-grade specimen with an unusual die state. Collectors went wild. Offers started pouring in. And seemingly overnight, he went from worrying about bills to having more financial breathing room than he had in years. But the real question is, could something like that happen to you? Here's the final payoff that if you own old coins, if you have a jar, a shoebox, a drawer full of change, you may already be sitting on something valuable. You might have a 1980 no mint mark penny. And even if it's not the $1 million variety, even a decent example can be worth far more than 1 cent, but there's a catch. People spend these coins every day without realizing it. They slip through fingers at gas stations, grocery stores, and vending machines. Once they're gone forever. So here's your moment of action. Check every 1980 penny you find. Look closely for the absence of a mint mark. Examine the condition. Look for unusual details, doubling, or striking flaws. And if something looks off or unusually sharp, send it in for grading. One decision could protect your family's financial future. Don't let fear stop you. Let it motivate you. Don't let doubt hold you back. Let it push you to check that old jar of coins today, because opportunities like this don't last forever. Every year, more rare cents disappear into private collections, never to be seen again. If you're ready for more discoveries, more rare coins, and more chances to find hidden value in your everyday change, keep watching the next video. Your next life-changing moment could be a single click away. Now go check your pennies before someone else spends your fortune. We're talking about the mysterious, the misunderstood, and the shockingly valuable 1981 no mint mark Lincoln cent, a penny that, under the right circumstances, has sold for life-changing money, with extreme high-end examples reported near the $1 million mark. If you just felt your heart skip a beat, good. That means you understand exactly what's at stake. Let's dive in. There's a story I still can't shake that a man in Ohio, just an average American dad, was sorting through an old jar of coins his father left behind. Nothing special, just decades of pocket change. But in that jar, sitting quietly between 2 worn dimes, was a single 1981 penny. No mint mark. Sharp strike. Strange luster. Something about it felt different, and he didn't know it yet. But that small moment was about to change the course of his family's financial future. And here's where the fear creeps in. How many of us have had that same kind of coin in our hands, only to spend it on gum, gas, or a cup of coffee, never realizing what we just threw away? But here's where it gets even more interesting. The mystery of the 1981 no mint mark penny starts with something most people completely misunderstand: that a regular 1981 penny from Philadelphia always has no mint mark. That's normal. Billions were made. So why on earth would some of these be worth hundreds, thousands, or even 6 figures? What most people don't know is that a tiny fraction, an incredibly rare handful, were struck with unusual conditions, exceptional dies, or dramatic errors that set them apart from the billions of ordinary cents. These are the coins that keep collectors awake at night. Before we reveal what makes the rare ones so valuable, let me ask you a bold question. If one penny could secure your family's future, would you take 10 minutes to check your change? Because that's exactly what the smart collectors are doing. Now back to our Ohio dad. He noticed something strange. The strike looked unusually sharp. The details in Lincoln's beard, the crispness of the lettering, the mirror-like fields. This was no ordinary circulation cent. He sent it to be graded, thinking maybe, just maybe, it might bring in a couple $100, but when the results came back, he literally sat down on the floor. The coin had been struck from an early die pair, with exceptional preservation, nearly flawless surfaces, and subtle die doubling, an extremely rare combination. The value wasn't a few hundred, it wasn't a few thousand. It was the kind of number that makes your stomach flip, and this is the part that shocks collectors. When a rare 1981 mint mark cent hits the upper grades, especially with a recognized error, burly die strike, or proof-like surfaces, auction houses can lose their minds, prices can push into the hundreds of thousands. The highest-end examples in the hands of elite collectors have been reported around the $900,000 to $994,000 mark. Let that sink in. A penny worth more than a beachfront condo. But here's the cliffhanger. What exactly makes one of these coins valuable, and how can you tell? Let's break it down so you know exactly what to look for. First, mint mark location. A Philadelphia penny, no P, no D, no S. If you see any mint mark at all, it's not the coin you want. Second, condition. This is huge. A worn, scratched, beat up 1981 penny might be worth 5 cents to a collector, but a pristine, sharply struck example with no spots or nicks, that can leap from $50 to $500, then to $5,000, and in rare cases, into the stratosphere. Third, errors. This is where things get exciting. Look for strong doubling on Liberty or IN God We Trust, off-center strikes, die cracks or die breaks, missing details, proof-like shine or mirror surfaces, any unusual thickness or planchet flaws. These errors transform an ordinary coin into a collector's treasure. Fourth, grading. The big money coins are professionally graded by companies like PCGS or NGC, mint state 65 and above. Now we're talking serious value, mint state 67 and higher. That's when powerful collectors start bidding. Add an error on top of that. Now you're playing in the financial freedom league. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Most people assume the rare ones are impossible to find. But every year, new discoveries are made in jars, drawers, piggy banks, and inherited coin boxes from the 1970s and 80s. Coins that sat untouched for decades are often in better condition than pocket change that circulated for years. And this is why people are kicking themselves, because you could own a life-changing coin and not even know it. So let's bring it home. The reason the 1981 mint mark penny matters isn't just the history. It's not just the errors, the grading, the rarity, or the mysterious handful of ultra-high value examples. It's what this coin represents. A chance. An opportunity. A moment where an ordinary American can turn something forgotten into something powerful. Something that protects your family, strengthens your future, and opens doors to the kind of financial freedom most people only dream about. But here's the warning you can't ignore. Once these rare pennies are found and graded, they disappear into private collections for decades, sometimes forever. The opportunity window shrinks every year, and the people who don't check their coins lose. So here's your moment. After this video ends, grab your coin jars. Check every 1981 penny. Look at the condition. Look for errors. If something feels unusual, get it evaluated. It could be the smartest move you make all year. And if you want to learn about more coins worth shocking amounts of money, Make sure you watch the next video in this series, because every minute you wait, another rare coin gets discovered by someone else. Don't let financial freedom slip through your fingers. Your next treasure might be sitting in your pocket right now. Now here's the part that should send a chill down your spine. Most Americans who owned one spend it without ever knowing that. So before you dismiss that old change sitting in your dresser drawer, listen closely, because everything you're about to hear could be the difference between pocket change and a retirement saving treasure. And if you think this sounds unbelievable, stay with me, because the story you're about to hear begins with an ordinary person, an ordinary penny, and an extraordinary twist of fate. That a few years ago, a middle-aged hobbyist, let's call him Mark, was searching through a coffee can of pennies he inherited from his father. Nothing fancy, just everyday coins from the 1970s and 80s. But as he sifted through them, he noticed something strange. One 1982 penny looked cleaner, sharper, almost different. But that wasn't the moment everything changed. The turning point came when he flipped it over and realized there was no mint mark at all. He didn't know it yet, but he was holding one of the rarest types of Lincoln cents, the elusive 1982 no mint mark variety, a coin tied to one of the most unusual, transitional, and error-prone years in penny history. And what most people don't know is 1982 was chaos at the mint. The U.S. shifted from heavier copper cents to lighter zinc ones. Dies were swapped, designs were updated, and mistakes, big mistakes, slipped through. That's why collectors today hunt tirelessly for 1982 varieties, especially the no mint mark examples with unusual metals, small date designs, or error strikes. And this is the part that shocks collectors. Some of these extremely rare combinations can explode in value depending on metal composition, strike quality, and grade. But here's where it gets even more interesting. To know if you found something valuable, you need the 3 pillars of identification: mint mark, date, style, and composition. First, the mint mark. A normal 1982 penny from Philadelphia has no mint mark, which is common. But the rare ones, the ones worth big money, have distinctive features tied to the transitional chaos of that year. Some were struck with dies intended for different compositions, others showed unusual small-date varieties, and a few came from misaligned or overused dies, creating error patterns collectors crave. Second, the date style. 1982 pennies come in large date and small date, and collectors go wild for the correct combination, especially the no mint mark small date examples with specific characteristics. These can skyrocket in value when perfectly struck and preserved. And third, the composition. 1982 was the final year copper cents were produced for circulation. That means both copper and zinc pennies were minted, but mixing the wrong die with the wrong planchet created legendary rarities. Some no mint mark 1982 cents weigh 3.11 grams, pure copper. Others weigh 2.5 grams, zinc. But the ultra-rare, high-value coins are the ones where the composition doesn't match the design or strike characteristics. That's where things get mysterious, and that's where values leap from pocket change to mortgage-paying money. Before I reveal the price ranges, here's a quick attention reset. Did you know you've probably handled more rare pennies in your lifetime than winning lottery tickets? Let that sink in for a moment. Now, about the money. A regular circulated 1982 no mint mark penny. Maybe a few dollars if it's an interesting variety, but a high grade, perfectly preserved, error-linked, transitional year no mint mark penny. That's where things go wild. Coins in pristine condition, graded MS 65, MS 67 and above, can soar from thousands to tens of thousands, and in extremely rare cases, with extraordinary errors and near-perfect grading, values have approached the high six-figure range, topping out near $989,000 in the most exceptional, once-in-a-lifetime scenarios. That's the kind of member that doesn't just get your attention. It changes the trajectory of your life. So back to Mark that he sent his coin to. Be graded, nervously waiting for the results. When the envelope finally returned, he froze, his 1982 no-mint Mark penny graded at a level almost never seen for that type. It didn't sell for $1 million, but it sold for enough to pay off debt, put money into savings, and give him a sense of security he hadn't felt in years. And the truth is, his story isn't unique, because coins like this are still out there, still sitting in coffee cans, junk drawers, old jars, and forgotten coin albums. Now here's the final payoff, and the part that may change what you do the moment this video ends. That if you have any 1982 pennies, especially ones with no mint mark, you need to check them. Look for the date style. Check the weight if you can. Look for unusual color, strange edges, misaligned details, doubling, or anything that feels off. And above all, preserve the condition. That a single grade difference can mean the difference between $50 and $50,000. But here's the warning. People accidentally spend rare pennies every day. They slip through fingers, coin counters, and gas station cash registers without anyone noticing. Don't let that be you. Don't let life-changing money slide away in a handful of change. You've worked too hard for security. Your family deserves stability, freedom, and the chance to build wealth, not miss it in the form of a tiny copper coin. So check your coins. Check them before work, before bed, before you roll them up or toss them into a machine, because the opportunity won't last forever. And every day another rare penny disappears back into circulation. If this sparked your curiosity, explore the other rare coins hiding in plain sight. There are treasures you've never even heard of waiting to be discovered. And who knows, your next penny could be the one that changes everything. Have you ever spent a penny that could have paid off your mortgage? Because right now, hidden in jars, junk drawers, and old coffee cans across America, there may be a simple Lincoln cent from the early 1980s. No mint mark, worth not just hundreds, not just thousands, but in some extremely rare cases, close to $1 million. And yes, the current top market value for the rarest examples pushes toward $982,000. That's life-changing money, sitting in a coin most people ignore. But here's the part that should make your heart skip a beat. Most people who had one already spent it without knowing, and you might have one sitting in your home right now. Before we go any further, hold on to that little spark of fear, excitement, and curiosity, because it's about to get stronger. Let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, a man in Ohio, just your everyday, hard-working American, was sorting through old change he inherited from his father. Nothing fancy, just a pile of pennies. One coin caught his attention, a 1980 Lincoln cent with no mint mark. He thought nothing of it at first. But something about the shine, the strike, felt different. He almost tossed it aside. Then came the moment of discovery. He looked closer. No mint mark. Sharp features. No signs of a typical circulation strike. He sent it to a grading service just to check. Weeks later, the call he received didn't just shock him. It changed the direction of his entire financial life. That single penny was valued in the hundreds of thousands. And the truth is, stories like this are happening more often than people realize. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Why would a 1980 no mint mark penny, literally worth 1 cent, carry such enormous value. Most people don't know that during this era, the Philadelphia Mint produced pennies without mint marks as standard. So a basic 1980 penny from Philly is usually nothing special. But not all coins struck that year were equal. A very small number were struck with unusually high precision, extremely strong dies, impeccable planchets, almost proof-like quality despite being intended for circulation. And this is the part that shocks collectors: a tiny number, so small it's almost mythical, appear to have been struck under conditions similar to test runs or experimental setups. Perfect edges. Full steps in the Lincoln Memorial. Nearly flawless surfaces. These are the coins that send collectors into a frenzy. Some of these ultra-high-grade examples have been graded at the very top of the scale, coins that look untouched by human hands. And when a bidding war ignites for a coin that appears to be the best surviving example, prices explode. But you haven't heard the most fascinating part yet. Before we talk prices, let's build the mystery even deeper. How do you actually identify one of these rare, high-value 1980 no-mint mark pennies? Here's what most people miss. First, the mint mark. There should be no letter under the date. No D, no S, nothing. If there's a mint mark, it's not the rare type. But no mint mark alone does not make it valuable. Second, look at the strike. Does Lincoln's profile appear sharper, more three-dimensional than usual? Can you see crisp detail in his hair and jawline? Third, flip it over. Check the Lincoln Memorial lines. On the rare high-end specimens, the lines are unusually bold, straight, and complete. Something you don't see on standard circulation strikes. Fourth is condition. This is where fortunes are made or lost. The difference between a coin worth $3 and a coin worth $300,000 can be a single scratch, a tiny nick, or a weak strike. Fifth, grading. For the highest values, your coin must be evaluated by a respected grading service like PCGS or NGC. These companies provide the certification serious buyers demand. But here comes the cliffhanger. Why do some of these coins, only the absolute best, reach astronomical values? Because collectors chase perfection. There might be millions of 1980 pennies, but there are incredibly few that appear to be the single finest example known. In the world of rare coins, that title creates a feeding frenzy. For a normal circulated 1980 no-mint mark penny, you might get a few cents to a couple dollars. For a higher grade uncirculated one, maybe $20 to $50 for a coin approaching gem condition. Think 100 studi and extremely rare cases. If it grades near the top of MS67, MS68, or beyond, prices can hit tens of thousands. And the rarest, nearly flawless, museum-quality examples, the ones surrounded by mystery, speculation, and fierce collector competition, these can soar to valuations approaching the $982,000 mark. Imagine a penny that could pay off your home, build your retirement, or change your family's future. That's why collectors are hunting them aggressively. And that's why you need to know whether one is sitting in your home right now. But here's something else most people don't know. Errors matter too. A 1980 no-mint mark penny with a dramatic off-center strike, or a double die, or a rare planchet flaw, that can multiply its value instantly. Think of it like a bonus rarity sitting on top of the original rarity. Now, let's step back for a moment, because there's a psychological twist here, and it directly affects you. Most Americans over 30 have jars of old coins, and nearly all of them assume they're not worth anything. But the biggest danger to your financial future might be your assumptions. How many fortune-level pennies have already been spent at gas stations, supermarkets, or dropped into tip jars without anyone noticing, people lose wealth not because it wasn't there, but because they didn't take a few minutes to look. And that brings us to your turning point, that if you've ever dreamed of more freedom, if you've ever wanted to feel truly secure, if you've ever wished you could give your family the life they deserve, then it's time to stop underestimating the small opportunities sitting right in front of you. This coin might be tiny, but the possibility behind it is enormous. So here's your challenge tonight. Grab those dusty jars, that old shoebox, that drawer full of forgotten change. Sort through every penny from the early 1980s. Look for the date. Look for the missing mint mark. Look for exceptional shine, crisp detail, and anything out of the ordinary. Because imagine this, you find one coin, you send it in, and instead of being worth a cent, it becomes the key to a safer, wealthier, freer future, all from a penny that was waiting for you to notice it. And before we wrap up, here's your final thought, your final cliffhanger. The market for rare coins goes through cycles. Values climb, and sometimes they fall. But right now, demand is high, collectors are hungry, and the opportunity window is open. How long will that window stay open? No one knows. But I can tell you this with absolute confidence: the people who take action find the treasures. The people who hesitate lose them. So check your coins, look closely, and don't let a life-changing penny slip through your fingers. If you want to learn about more rare and valuable coins hiding in plain sight, stay curious, stay watchful, and watch the next video. You could be one discovery away from transforming your financial future. Because that nearly happened to a man in Ohio who discovered a 1984 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, one of the rarest and most sought-after modern cents in American history, later valued in the high six figures. Some examples have been appraised near $977,000. One penny, less than the price of a stick of gum, potentially worth more than a luxury home. And yes, you might already own one without knowing it. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Most people have no idea why this coin exists, how it slipped into circulation, or why collectors are quietly hunting for it like treasure in the modern world. So if you're sitting on jars of old change, or if you're the type who dreams of hitting that life-changing moment, keep listening. Because this story has twists. Let's begin with a moment that changed someone's life forever. A retired factory worker named Robert, ordinary guy, fixed income, nothing flashy, was sorting through an old coffee can of pennies kept by his late father. He expected nothing special, just a dusty collection of brown cents. But then, something caught his eye. One coin looked different, cleaner, sharper. The date, 1984, but no mint mark beneath it. Almost too perfect. The turning point came when he Googled it, and the first headline he saw said, 1984 no mint mark penny discovered, expert stunned. Robert almost dropped the coin into the trash an hour earlier. What most people don't know is that coins without mint marks aren't automatically rare. In fact, pennies minted in Philadelphia traditionally had no mint mark at all. But this particular 1984 no mint mark penny became something special because of how few pristine examples survived, and because of certain errors and high-grade strikes that make collectors compete for the best of the best. But this is the part that shocks collectors. Some 1984 no mint mark pennies, especially those with certain errors, are so rare that high-end versions have been estimated near the $1 million mark. And that means the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth a fortune could be sitting in your junk drawer right now. So let's unravel the mystery. First, what makes a 1984 no mint mark penny valuable? It comes down to a combination of factors: rarity, striking quality, errors, and condition. The 1984 year is known for a handful of unusual varieties, and the Philadelphia Mint had some inconsistencies. A small number of coins left the facility with sharper detail, unusual die states, and extremely clean surfaces. Collectors call these condition rarities. They look almost like proof coins, but were struck for circulation. That's your first clue, but here's where it gets even more unbelievable that a handful of 1984 pennies show dramatic errors, doubling on the year of Lincoln, misstrikes, or die deterioration that created unusual shadows in the design. These errors can push values from hundreds to thousands, and in ultra-high-grade certified examples, into the astronomical range. Before we talk price ranges, you need to know exactly how to identify one. Step 1. Look at the date. You want 1984. Step 2. Check under the date. No D, no S, just a clean space. Step 3. Look very closely at the details. Does Lincoln's ear appear doubled? Do the letters look thick or shadowed? Does the coin look unusually sharp, almost like it was struck with extra force? Step 4. Check the condition. The closer it is to flawless, no scratches, no wear, strong shine, the more valuable it becomes. Step 5. If it looks promising, send it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. Certification is what turns a cool penny into a life-changing asset, but don't skip the next part, because this is where the real money lives. Let's talk values. And prepare yourself. A heavily circulated 1984 no mint mark penny may be worth a few dollars. A lightly circulated one with strong details, $30 to $100. A clean, crisp, almost uncirculated example, $100 to $500. A certified high-grade one, from MS-64 to MS-66. Now you're talking thousands. A rare error version in high grade, tens of thousands, and a tiny handful of near-perfect, museum-quality examples, those with the sharpest strikes, rarest errors, and pristine surfaces, have reached evaluations close to $977,000. Let that sink in. A single penny, equal in value to a luxury home, a retirement plan, or a year of full income for 7 or 8 families combined. But here's the cliffhanger that keeps collectors awake at night. No one knows how many of these high-grade survivors are still hiding in old jars, dresser drawers, coin jugs, or forgotten boxes in garages. They could be anywhere, including your home. Now let's return to Robert. He sent his coin to be graded. Weeks passed. He doubted himself. He wondered if he'd imagined the extra shine or the sharp details. And then, the envelope arrived. His hand shook as he opened the letter. His coin graded far higher than expected. Not just high, but elite. His retirement, once filled with stress and uncertainty, became safe, stable, and secure. His children no longer worried about supporting him. One coin, one moment, one discovery, and that brings us to the final and most important takeaway. If you have old coins in your home, you owe it to yourself and your family to check them. Do it carefully. Do it thoughtfully. And do it before you spend a rare penny by accident in a vending machine. Because once it's gone forever. This isn't just about money, it's about opportunity, it's about security, it's about the freedom that comes from knowing you didn't overlook something that could change everything. But here's the warning. The market for rare coins is heating up. Collectors are paying record amounts. High-grade discoveries are becoming harder to find every year. And once these top examples disappear into private collections, they may never hit the market again. So check your coins, search every jar, every cup holder, every forgotten stash, because the next extraordinary 1984 no-mint mark penny might be waiting in your home right now. If you enjoyed this story and want to learn about even more rare pennies that ordinary Americans are finding in their spare change, make sure you watch the next video. It just might reveal the coin that changes your future forever. Now, go check your pennies. The opportunity won't be there forever.
Did you know that a seemingly ordinary penny from 1999 could quietly hold financial potential? We're talking about the 1999 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark. While most people toss these into jars or rolls, verified examples have, on rare occasions, fetched surprisingly high prices. Today, we're diving into why collectors still watch the stake closely, what separates a common penny from one with life-changing sale results, and how patient owners have stumbled onto quiet wealth discovery. Stick with me because by the end, you might look at your own spare change in a completely new way. Let's start with a bit of background. The 1999 Lincoln penny was produced primarily in Philadelphia and Denver, with most coins strikingly ordinary at first glance. Composition-wise, these pennies are mostly zinc with a thin copper plating, a standard since the mid-1980s. But here's a detail collectors quietly watch. The no-mint mark variety from Philadelphia is not just a number. It's a key that can influence collector interest. This is where many people get confused. A penny without a mint mark isn't automatically valuable. Its appeal comes from specific production quirks, subtle variations, and condition. For example, high-grade examples with pristine surfaces, sharp details, and original luster can attract significant attention from buyers looking for rare circulation survivors. So why does the stake continue to capture collector interest? Part of it comes from unusual sale results in recent years. Certain certified examples, especially those graded in perfect or near-perfect condition, have occasionally sold for amounts far beyond face value. While these are not everyday transactions, they create a quiet buzz among serious collectors. Here's another detail collectors quietly watch. Die errors or anomalies, such as double dies or planchet flaws, even minor deviations can completely change interest in a single coin, turning it from a handful of cents into a piece worth hundreds. Now, let's talk specifics about what separates common pennies from high-value examples. First, condition is king. Circulated coins with scratches, dents, or discoloration generally remain modestly priced. But uncirculated coins, especially those professionally graded, can highlight sharp features like the lines in Lincoln's coat and the clarity of the date. Subtle details that collectors quietly scrutinize. Mistakes owners make often come from impatience. Many people rush to sell without checking for anomalies or grading potential. This difference can completely change interest, because a coin overlooked in a jar could become a hidden financial potential when authenticated. Realistic value ranges very widely. A circulated 1999 no-mint mark penny might trade for face value, or slightly more among coin roll hunters. But certified, high-grade examples can attract bids far beyond what casual owners expect. Life-changing sale results are rare, but they exist, especially for those who are patient, knowledgeable, and willing to wait for the right buyer. Another key point: provenance and certification matter. Coins with clear documentation of condition and origin can outperform identical-looking pennies sold privately. Here's a detail collectors quietly watch. The presence of a grading slab or verified pedigree can completely shift buyer perception and value. Finally, a word on patience. Some owners discover unexpected income simply by checking rolls, asking questions, or sending a coin to be professionally graded. This quiet wealth discovery doesn't happen overnight, but with attention to detail, you might uncover more than just a penny in your pocket. This is where many people get confused. They assume every old penny is either worthless or immediately valuable. In reality, the hidden financial potential lies in careful observation, research, and knowing exactly what collectors want. So, what does this mean for you? Take a moment to look through your own pennies. Check for that no-mint mark 1999 Lincoln. Examine the condition, the luster, and any unusual marks or flaws. Knowledge and patience matter far more than speed when it comes to uncovering potential value. If this caught your curiosity, consider watching our video on the 2000 Lincoln penny varieties. There are similar hidden opportunities waiting to be discovered. Remember, a coin in your hand might just be more than it seems, but only careful observation will reveal its full story. Have you ever held a penny that, at first glance, seemed ordinary, only to discover it could be hiding rare financial potential? Today, we're diving into the 1998 Lincoln penny, specifically those with no mint mark. While most circulate quietly in jars and drawers, verified examples of this coin have quietly sold for life-changing results for select collectors. Could a coin in your pocket hold this kind of hidden value? Stick with me, we're going to break it all down. Step by step. Let's start with a bit of background. The 1998 Lincoln penny is part of the familiar Lincoln Memorial series. First introduced in 1959, by the late 1990s, pennies were mostly seen as everyday change. But that perception is exactly why some examples, especially those without a mint mark, attract serious attention. Here's a detail collectors quietly watch. The absence of a mint mark can indicate a Philadelphia origin, but in rare cases, errors or anomalies in the striking process can make a coin extraordinarily interesting. So why do buyers focus on this date? Well, the late 1990s saw millions of these pennies produced, but among them, a handful show characteristics that set them apart: variations in strike, die polish, or planchet inconsistencies. This difference can completely change collector interest, turning a coin that seems ordinary into something highly sought after. Let's talk composition. Like all modern pennies after 1982, the 1998 Lincoln is primarily zinc with a thin copper plating, but subtle differences in color, weight, or surface can hint at unusual minting circumstances. This is where many people get confused. A slightly off-color or heavier coin doesn't automatically mean it's valuable, but for certified collectors, even tiny anomalies can mean hidden financial potential. Now, what separates common examples from high-value ones? Condition is critical. Circulated coins, even rare varieties, typically have modest value. Uncirculated coins with sharp details, intact rims, and original luster can move into price ranges that may surprise casual collectors. And certified examples, created by professional services, sometimes achieve life-changing sale results for select examples. Here's another point. Mistakes owners often make: cleaning coins, dropping them in tape albums incorrectly, or overlooking subtle error varieties can all drastically reduce value. Patience is key. Some collectors discover quiet wealth discovery in coins they've held for decades, simply by checking them carefully or submitting them for grading. Collectors also keep an eye on the subtle features: die cracks, double dies, and misplaced mint marks. Each of these details can quietly multiply interest. Remember, most pennies will never be worth more than face value, but the ones that catch the eye of serious collectors, they can command attention that seems disproportionate to their humble origins. Even among no mint mark 1998 pennies, variations in strike pressure, planchet alignment, or minor die errors can make a single coin stand out. This difference can completely change interest and sometimes result in a surprisingly lucrative sale for patient owners. Realistic value ranges very widely. A common circulated 1998 no mint mark penny may trade for just a few cents above face. High-grade certified examples can reach dozens or even hundreds of dollars. But again, these are rare and careful verification is essential. Here's a detail collectors quietly watch. Coins with a consistent, unaltered luster and perfect rims almost always attract more serious offers. So, take a careful look at your own pennies. One small coin could hide a quiet financial discovery you never expected. If you found this deep dive helpful, there's another video on rare Lincoln pennies that goes even further into grading, errors, and varieties. Perfect for building long-term knowledge. Remember, in coin collecting, knowledge and patience matter far more than speed. Even a single careful inspection could reveal hidden value that turns an ordinary coin jar into a treasure trove. Imagine holding a penny that looks completely ordinary. Yet some verified examples of this very coin have quietly sold for thousands of dollars. Today, we're talking about the 1997 Abraham Lincoln penny. The ones with no mint mark. These coins are not just spare change. They carry hidden financial potential that many collectors are still discovering. Stay with me, because what I'm about to explain could completely change how you look at the pennies in your own collection. The 1997 Lincoln penny was part of the long-running series that began in 1909. By this time, the coin's design was familiar. Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the front, the Lincoln Memorial on the back. Most pennies from this era were produced in huge numbers, but a select few stand out, especially those without a mint mark which were made in Philadelphia. This small detail alone is enough to make collectors pay closer attention. This is where many people get confused. Not every 1997 penny without a mint mark is valuable. Collectors are searching for subtle variations, minute differences that can separate a standard coin from one that could yield life-changing sale results. For select examples, the coin's composition, strike quality, and even minor die errors are the details that quietly drive interest. Here's a detail collectors quietly watch. The 1997 pennies were made of 97.5% zinc with a thin copper plating. Most coins look identical, but certain errors, such as missing mint marks or double die features, immediately grab attention. Coins that show perfect alignment, no scratches, and sharper strikes are often the ones that achieve hidden financial potential in the market. This difference can completely change interest. A circulated penny with scratches and discoloration might only fetch a few cents, while an uncirculated, high-grade example without a mint mark could sell for hundreds, or even more, if verified by a professional grading service. Understanding the fine details of wear, luster, and strike clarity is what separates everyday coins from true collectibles. Realistic expectations are crucial. Most circulated 1997 no-mint mark pennies will sell for face value up to a couple of dollars. However, certified, pristine examples with notable varieties or die errors have been known to fetch prices far beyond that range, demonstrating the quiet wealth discovery potential that can exist in something most people overlook. It's not about luck. It's about knowledge and patience. This is where many people get confused. Even a minor cleaning or scratch can dramatically reduce a coin's appeal to collectors. Holding onto your pennies, rather than polishing or mishandling them, preserves hidden financial potential. Collectors pay for originality and condition, not shine. Sometimes, patient sellers discover unexpected income years after the coin was first collected. A penny that sat unnoticed in a jar or old coin box could suddenly turn into a quiet wealth discovery when the market identifies its unique traits. The lesson here is simple. Careful observation and timing matter more than speed. Take a moment to check the pennies you already own, especially the ones without mint marks from 1997. The small detail could reveal surprising value. If this peek into the world of collectible pennies intrigued you, watch our next video on rare Lincoln cents, where we explore more hidden financial potential waiting in everyday change. Remember, knowledge and patience are always more powerful than rushing to cash in. But not just any 1996 penny. We're looking at those rare examples that came without a mint mark. Verified examples of this coin have sold for prices that make collectors take notice. And while these aren't the everyday copper pennies in your pocket, the potential for a life-changing sale exists for select coins. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for and why some 1996 pennies quietly attract collector interest. The 1996 Lincoln penny is part of a long-running series that dates back to 1909. By the mid-1990s, the coins were mostly copper with a small zinc core, and most collectors paid little attention to these modern issues. But here's where many people get confused. Some 1996 pennies were struck without a mint mark, which is unusual for modern coins. This minor detail alone has made certain examples stand out in the collecting world. Understanding the context of its production is the first step to spotting coins with hidden financial potential. Collectors are drawn to anomalies, and the 1996 penny no mint mark fits that bill. Here's a detail collectors quietly watch. Missing mint marks usually occur due to errors during the minting process. While not every error coin is valuable, those that are well preserved can spark extraordinary interest. Even casual collectors know that a circulated penny with this trait might still be worth more than a standard 1996 penny. In 1996, pennies were primarily struck at the Philadelphia and Denver mints. Normally, you'd see a P or a D on the obverse. But some pennies emerged without any mark at all. This is where value begins to diverge. The composition is mostly zinc with a thin copper coating, so surface condition matters a lot. Collectors look for coins with sharp details and no significant wear. And here's another detail quietly watched by serious buyers. Even tiny differences in the strike, color, and surface can completely change interest. Some certified coins with these traits have sold in the hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Most 1996 pennies are worth just a few cents, but a high-value example, particularly one without a mint mark, uncirculated and free of scratches, can be a quiet wealth discovery. Here's the catch. Grading is critical. A coin with even minor damage or cleaning can lose most of its collectible appeal. This difference can completely change interest. Patience and attention to detail often separate coins worth a few dollars from coins that generate life-changing sale results for select examples. Now let's talk about value ranges. Circulated 1996 pennies without a mint mark may fetch anywhere from a couple of dollars up to 50 in the right conditions. Certified, uncirculated examples can climb into the hundreds. And occasionally, a truly rare find has brought in even more. Here's where many people get confused. They assume any penny without a mint mark is automatically valuable. That's not the case. Scratched, cleaned, or improperly stored coins can lose nearly all of their premium. Knowing what collectors actually want is key to uncovering hidden financial potential. Some collectors wait years before selling, carefully tracking market trends. In this world, timing can create opportunities. Owners who take the time to verify their pennies, submit them for grading, or simply keep them safe often discover unexpected income. Even among coins that initially seem ordinary, one small detail, a missing mint mark, a sharp strike, or pristine surfaces, can spark serious collector interest. This is where patience pays off. If you have a 1996 penny lying around, especially one without a mint mark, now is a great time to take a closer look. Every coin tells a story, and careful observation can reveal hidden financial potential. And if you enjoyed learning about this one, check out our next video where we explore other modern pennies quietly sought after by collectors. Remember, knowledge, patience, and attention to detail matter far more than rushing to sell. Your next quiet wealth discovery could be closer than you think. Yet missing one crucial detail. No mint mark, no obvious sign that it could be anything special. But here's the twist. Verified examples of this penny have sold for life-changing amounts at auction. And while not every 1995 penny will fetch such results, the hidden financial potential of select examples has collectors and investors quietly buzzing. Today, we're going to explore exactly what makes these coins stand out, how to identify them, and why even ordinary-looking pennies could hold surprising value. The 1995 Lincoln penny is part of the long-running Lincoln cent series. First issued in 1909. By the mid-90s, most pennies were produced in massive quantities at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, meaning millions of 1995 pennies exist in circulation. But here's where many people get confused. A missing mint mark doesn't always make a coin rare. But under the right conditions, it can make a particular penny extremely desirable to collectors. Collectors and buyers keep a close eye on 1995 pennies, because this year produced some unusual die varieties and circulation patterns. Here's a detail collectors quietly watch. Subtle differences in strike quality, tiny die cracks, or unusually sharp features can transform a run-of-the-mill penny into one that commands extraordinary attention. It's not just about age or date. It's about characteristics that stand out under careful inspection. The standard 1995 penny is made of copper-plated zinc. Most coins from Philadelphia, where no mint mark was used, are common. But here's the key. A select few no mint mark pennies have struck collectors' interest due to slight production anomalies. This difference can completely change interest and value. The Denver coins, marked with a small d, exist in similar abundance, but it's those unmarked Philadelphia examples, sometimes showing errors or exceptional strike quality, that have quietly turned into sought-after items. Not every 1995 no mint mark penny is worth tracking down. Most circulate for face value. The ones that have sold for remarkable sums share a few consistent traits. Flawless surfaces, strong details on Lincoln's portrait, and no scratches or discoloration. Here's a detail collectors quietly watch. The tiny differences in the rim or lettering, often missed by casual holders, can push a coin from ordinary to extraordinary. These subtle points are what separate everyday pennies from those with hidden financial potential. For typical circulated examples, a 1995 penny without a mint mark will usually hold only its face value. But for coins in top uncirculated condition, certified by reputable grading services, values can climb to impressive figures. Life-changing sale results for select examples don't happen every day. But patient sellers have found that the right coin, at the right time, can attract bids far beyond what most people expect. Here's where many people get confused. Cleaning, polishing, or even careless handling can strip away the coin's natural appeal. Artificial shine or scratches can reduce collector interest instantly. Coins stored in damp environments can develop toning that, while sometimes desirable, can also lower value if uneven. Understanding these pitfalls is crucial before even thinking about selling. The quiet wealth discovery isn't in rushing. It's in careful evaluation and preservation. Patience often reveals the hidden financial potential of pennies. Sellers who take the time to compare their coins against verified high-value examples often discover unexpected income. Even a single overlooked coin in a jar or drawer could be a quiet reminder that collector demand sometimes rewards the observant and patient. Remember, knowledge and careful inspection matter far more than speed or assumptions. Take a careful look at your own 1995 pennies. You might be surprised what's hiding in plain sight. And if you're curious about other Lincoln penny dates with unusual value potential, check out our next video for a deep dive. With coins, the key isn't rushing. It's understanding, observing, and waiting for the right opportunity.